How is the perception changing of apprenticeships?
So first and foremost, apprenticeships have been around for about 300 years in different formats. You'll be pleased to know they're not the same as they were 300 years ago. There have been very different formats of apprenticeships. Originally, I think you had to sign up for a 10-year apprenticeship and live with the employer. Don't worry, no employers will ask you to do that now. But they've massively changed over the past kind of 50 years, and a real turning point in apprenticeships has been the last 5 years. So before I jump into that perception change, a real quick summary of what an apprenticeship is. An apprenticeship is an opportunity, a learning pathway, which effectively marries learning on the job, so vocational learning, with qualifications or structured learning, which is qualified by examination boards and the Department for Education as well. They are not lesser than traditional academic routes. They are a different type of learning. Perceptions on that piece, I think, are there in what I've just said. So a lot of people think if you do an apprenticeship, you're not very clever. That is absolute rubbish. Yeah. Traditionally, they were very much manual, very vocational routes, but why wouldn't they be when it's about learning on the job? But they've really changed in the last three to 4 years, and the levy coming in 2017 has really brought a different perspective on apprenticeships from both employers, from schools and colleges, and even universities, and most certainly yourselves as students as well. And it's really good to see, because actually, do you need to go to university to be a lawyer? Traditionally, you had to. You don't anymore. So actually, an individual who maybe isn't so confident about that traditional academic route still has the same opportunity, the same access to opportunities, which can only be good for inclusivity.
Thanks for the overview. So we've got the levels here in front of us. Those level 2 all the way up to level 7.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with one of the key points which I'd like everyone to just think about in the back of your minds as we go through this. Apprenticeships will give you lots of things, but the core elements are knowledge and skills, which we've already talked about this afternoon. And when you look at level 2s, level 3s, all the way through to level 7s, you will often find a comparison between apprenticeship levels and qualifications which we know. So GCSEs, A-levels, HNDs, foundation degrees, and bachelor's and master's degrees. The important thing to remember is A-levels will give you knowledge. Apprenticeships will also give you those skills, and they bolt together. So if you are currently at school and you are currently doing GCSEs, doing a level 2 apprenticeship after school does not mean that you'll stand still. It doesn't mean that it's just the same, you're repeating yourself, because you're not. You're getting something new. That's the skills piece. So level 2s are often known as intermediate apprenticeships. They are usually in kind of the entry-level roles within an organisation or an industry or a sector. I would call out that not every job, sector, career pathway will start at level 2. Some will come in at a higher level as well, depending on what sector it is, how technical it is as well. But just be mindful that apprenticeships at level 2 can pay really well. So lorry driving apprenticeships, £24,000 starting salary. In a nutshell, though, I would always say, actually, I think level 3, level 4 degree apprenticeship is where you want to be looking. It's not about how do I get the highest qualification the quickest, because you've got to be mindful that an apprenticeship is tough, and actually you've got studying and work at the same time. So doing a degree apprenticeship, I would say, is harder than going to university, because you've got the two to balance. And that's one thing I would say, is actually look at the end goal. Where do you want to be? Work backwards.
Danny, what's the apprenticeship interview process like in terms of assessment centres?
It looks like, but in a nutshell, it can be really varied company to company, and usually it would definitely involve an online assessment of some description or face-to-face. So I would say apply for ones that you're interested in. Apply for ones that you feel like you have the skills and qualifications, if needed, to get through that process. But most importantly, make sure that you are invested in the application itself.